So, today we're diving into one of the most famous opening chapters ever written, Genesis 1. But we're not going to treat it like a science paper. Instead, we're going to look at it like a piece of brilliant architecture. We're going to peel back the layers and see the incredible, deliberate design that's hiding in plain sight.
It kicks off with this huge, sweeping statement, right? A headline for the entire cosmos. It sets the stage for everything. But then, right after that, the author immediately zooms in and shows us the raw materials and, more importantly, a couple of big problems that need solving.
And here they are, the two core problems the whole story is about to fix. The text says the Earth was formless and empty. You can just picture it, right? A kind of dark, watery, chaotic mess. So, the rest of this chapter is basically a super structured two-part plan to solve these exact problems. First, give it form. And second, fill up the emptiness. Okay, so part one, the first 3 days are all about tackling that formless problem. Think of this as the architectural phase. God is drawing the blueprints and framing out the fundamental spaces of the universe.
Now get this. The very first creative act isn't making a thing. It's making a distinction. God's command separates light from darkness, creating the first real boundary in the universe. This act of separation is the key. It sets up a pattern that we're going to see over and over again, bringing order out of chaos.
And here's that pattern in action. First, you get the separation. Then you get naming. God calls the light day and the darkness night. This whole process, separating and then naming, brings order and wraps up the first day's work. It's the blueprint for the rest of the week.
On to day 2, and the theme of separation continues. That formless water is now divided up. A space is literally carved out right in the middle of it all, creating a realm between the waters up above and the waters down below.
So this act creates what the text calls a vault, which is then named sky. And just like that, we have two clearly defined realms, the sky and the sea. The architecture of the world is really starting to take shape, one division at a time.
Day 3 brings us the last big act of separation. The waters are pushed back, which allows the dry ground to finally show up. And with this final division between land and sea, the main rooms of our cosmic house are now complete.
And this is where the genius of the structure really shines. See, day 3 doesn't just finish the forming stage by creating land and seas. It does something else. It pivots. It introduces the very first inhabitants, our first solution to the emptiness problem, plants. It's the perfect bridge, leading us into the second half of the story.
And that brings us to part 2. The cosmic house has been built, the framework is up, but it's empty. It's time to furnish it. So the next 3 days are all about solving that second problem from the very beginning. The world was empty. And here it is. This is the architectural masterstroke of the entire chapter. Just look at this incredible parallel structure. Day 4 fills the space that was created on day 1. Day 5 fills the spaces from day 2. And day 6 fills the space from day 3. The spaces that were created in the first half are now populated in the exact same order. This is not a random list, folks. This is deliberate, beautiful, symmetrical design. So following that pattern, on day 4, the realm of light and darkness gets its inhabitants. The sun, moon, and stars are created. But they're not just floating objects. The text gives them a specific job, to govern the day and night, and to be signs for marking time. They rule this first domain. All right, next up, day 5 fills the spaces created on day 2, the sky and the sea. And they are filled. The waters are suddenly teeming with life. The sky is full of birds. The author really emphasizes the sheer abundance and variety of life that now fills these spaces. And right here, we see another first in the story. God speaks a blessing. This command to be fruitful and multiply isn't just about reproduction. It's like an empowerment, a delegation to the creatures themselves to continue the work of filling up their own domains. So, the first part of day 6 fills the last realm that was created back on day 3, the land. It's now populated with all its creatures, which the text groups into livestock, critters that crawl on the ground, and wild animals. The world is just about full. Almost. But day 6 isn't done. The whole pace of the story suddenly slows down, and the language completely changes. For the very first time, we hear a kind of divine conference. Let us make mankind in our image. This shift from a simple command to a statement of purpose tells us we've arrived at the pinnacle of the whole project.
So what does in our image actually mean? Well, the text doesn't make us guess. It immediately defines it by giving it a function, a job. Being made in God's image is directly tied to a role, to rule, to act as representatives or stewards over the very creation that has just been made.
Humanity gets a blessing, kind of like the animals, but it's bigger, it's expanded. It's not just fill the earth, it's subdue it and rule over everything. This is basically the job description for God's image bearers, to be royal stewards, managing this incredible architectural masterpiece. And with that, the 6-day project is officially done. Those initial problems of being formless and empty have been completely and elegantly solved. The structure is built, the inhabitants are all in place, and humanity is there to lead them. All that's left is the final inspection. All week long after each step, the assessment was good. But now, at the very end of day 6, with everything formed and filled and humanity in place to care for it all, the evaluation gets an upgrade. It's not just good anymore. Now it is very good. The architectural project is a complete and total success.
So when we stop reading Genesis 1 like a science textbook and start seeing it as a piece of literary architecture, what we find is a story that is saturated with purpose. It presents a cosmos that was intentionally designed and perfectly ordered. And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. What does it mean for us to live in a world that was conceived not as some cosmic accident, but as a deliberate and very good work of art?